This is the Engwe Engine Pro, a 750-watt folding electric bike that's reasonably fast, it's relatively affordable, and it's pretty comfortable too. So today I'm going to check out all of the features, I'm going to go for a ride to my local swap meet, and see what this budget folding e-bike is all about. Now this right here is the Engwe Engine Pro. They reached out and sent me this electric bike to check out, and it looks like Engwe is trying to make a name for themselves in the world of budget-minded e-bikes. Now this is a folding fat tire electric bike. It's got a 750-watt motor there in the back, and on their website they say it has a top speed of 30 miles per hour, which would make it just slightly beyond a Class 3 electric bike, so we'll ride it and see how fast it really is. And it's relatively compact. It's very easy to get on and off of this bike. Now, if you're new to the world of electric bikes, you might be wondering, why are they becoming so popular? An electric bike can offer more flexibility and speed than a regular bike, and you can travel longer distances and tackle hills without getting tired. And you can get to your destination more quickly, which means for a bike like this, you're more likely to use it for transportation and not just recreation. Now, if you're not aware, I primarily make videos about cars on this channel, and you might be wondering why I started making videos about some electric bikes. So last year, I picked up a used electric cargo bike, and after using it for a few months, it totally transformed the way I think about transportation. And depending on your situation, an electric bike can replace your car for some trips, and it can be a useful and economical alternative to driving. Now, theoretically, a folding electric bike could be a great addition to a car. You throw it in the back of your vehicle and pull it out when you want to ride instead of drive. So as far as I can tell, Engwe's are only sold online, so you order it online and then it's shipped to your house partially assembled. Now this bike has a very practical utilitarian shape, but it looks pretty cool. It's got a neat silhouette. I really like the flat black paint. Now, as I mentioned, the motor is a 750-watt hub motor. It's got 1,000 watts of peak power, 55 newton meters of torque. It's got a 48-volt lithium-ion battery, 758 watt-hours, which is a decent size. We'll see if this larger battery helps with range. The battery can be removed for charging. You can get an additional rear battery for more range, and that's $399. Engwe says this bike can do 37 miles in electric mode and 75 miles in pedal assist mode, but we'll test this and see how far we can really go. It's got an 8-speed Shimano drivetrain, which is similar to what you'll see on other bikes at this price point. There's 3 power modes, Eco, Normal, and Sport, and 5 levels of pedal assist within each of those modes. So we'll check those out in a bit. And kind of strangely, the throttle is on the left side instead of the right, so that might take some getting used to. It also has a regen system. You can use your pedal power to top up the battery, and I guess this could be useful when you're riding downhill. It's got hydraulic disc brakes on 160mm rotors. 160mm seems like it might be a bit small, but we'll test that out in a bit. We've got front and rear suspension. Quite a few folding bikes only have front suspension. The rear setup is simple, but having both front and rear suspension should help out with comfort. It's got adjustable handlebars, a decent size, comfortable seat, and it's got some beefy fat tires, 20x4. Not a brand that I've ever heard of though. And they are wrapped around these nice looking mag wheels. No wire spokes are found here. It's got a large LED color display, which looks really great. But as we saw in my last e-bike video, a large display on a folding bike may not always be a great thing. It's got easy to use controls here on the left, front and rear lights. And this is a nice addition. It comes with a horn. It's actually more of a beep than a horn, but it's still useful. Now in the cargo area, you've got this rear rack that can support 55 pounds, which is quite a bit lower than the electric that I recently reviewed, but still decent. Now in every single video that I've watched about this bike and every review I've read, everybody says that this bike is 83 pounds, which would be a behemoth, but it's actually not. I weighed this bike and it's only 70 pounds. I'm not sure why everybody's saying it's 83, but yes, 70 pounds is still pretty heavy for a folding electric bike, but it's not 83. Now, one of the selling points of this bike is that it folds in half. Now, the idea is that you can fold it and throw it in the back of your car or make it a bit easier to store. And it's like a lot of other folding bikes. You can fold the handlebars down right here and you fold it in half right here. Hinge is a little squeaky. There's no latch to latch these two sides together, so when you pick it up, it kind of flops around a little bit. And then to open it back up, reverse the process, very easy. It's very squeaky. There you go. So I figured today, why don't I skip the car and do everything I need to do on this bike? I've got some errands to run. I want to check out a nearby swap meet, and I'm kind of hungry, so I want to get some lunch. So I'm going to zip tie a milk crate to the back of this bike real quick and see how this Engwe does on my travels today. Now we've got a bunch of drive modes here, maybe too many, but there's a bunch of options to tailor your bike to your needs. As I mentioned, there's 3 modes, Eco, Normal, and Sport. And within each of those modes, there are 5 different pedal assist levels. And you've got that 8-speed Shimano gear set, so there's a lot of choices to make here depending on how you want to ride. So I'm going to turn around here and switch it to Eco mode, pedal level assist 1. Press and hold the center to change the modes. Now we're in Eco mode. And yeah, this is pretty slow. You're not going to get anywhere very fast with this mode, but it could be useful on bike paths, that kind of thing. So let's switch past normal mode. Let's go up to sport mode and crank it all the way up to level 5. And yes, you can really feel the power. This thing gets going pretty quick, pretty fast. And right now I'm going 29 miles an hour, which appears to be the top speed of this bike. Pretty fast for a folding bike. Yeah, this is a class 3 bike, so you'll have to check your local laws to see where and when you can actually ride this quickly. I'd really only want to go that fast if I'm on a street alongside cars. If I was on a bike path, yeah, just set it down to Eco mode and just cruise. Keep things a bit more reasonable. Let's actually get back up to speed again real quick, because there is one other thing to consider. When you're going faster than like 20 miles per hour, at some point, the pedals just don't really become all that useful. You're just kind of ghost pedaling the thing. If you're going that fast, just use the throttle. So let's slow down, and this is a good time to talk about the brakes. When you're going nearly 30 miles per hour, you want to be able to slow down. And this thing's got 160 millimeter rotors, and they're a little bit smaller than I've seen on some other bikes, but the system is hydraulic and it stops the bike really well, so I haven't really found any issues there. So like most hub drive electric bikes, there's a sensor that detects when you're pedaling. And on this bike, there's a bit of a delay from when you start pedaling and the power comes on. And there's also a bit of a delay from when you stop pedaling and the power stops. And when you're using some of those higher level pedal assists like level 4 and level 5, the power can come on a bit abruptly, but this is kind of the case for a lot of hub driven e-bikes that I've ridden. It's just something you kind of got to get used to. So we also have this cool regen system which can top up the battery when you're pedaling. So if you're coasting like downhill, you keep pedaling and it will add a few electrons back into your battery, which is pretty cool. Let's put it back down into normal mode, maybe eco mode when I'm riding on the sidewalk. Now, if you've ridden a bike in Los Angeles, where I live, you know that the bike infrastructure here kind of sucks. So that's why I'm riding on the sidewalk. Good news is riding on the sidewalk here is legal. Right here is one of the more dangerous roads, so I'm definitely not riding on the street here if I don't have to. And that's a good time to talk about comfort, because this is a very bumpy, poorly maintained sidewalk. Thank you, Los Angeles. Now, in terms of comfort, I think this is an area where this bike excels. The front suspension does a really good job of soaking up the bumps and imperfections in this terrible sidewalk. But we also have this simple but pretty effective rear suspension setup as well, which keeps my back from hurting on long rides, which is pretty nice. And of course, we've also got these 20x4 tires, which also help provide a cushiony ride. Now, as I mentioned a couple times in this video, this bike is somewhat heavy, but it does have a very low center of gravity. So all that mass down low does help with the riding feel. It gives it a pretty stable feel at high speeds. Now, in my time with this bike, I generally ride with a combination of throttle only and pedal assist, using mostly sport mode and mostly level 5 when I'm on the streets around here. And I've gotten about 22 miles of range on this before I ran out of juice. And of course, that's going to vary for you. Range depends on a lot of different things: your weight, your riding style, your terrain, the weather. But in general, I'm pretty happy with the range that I've gotten out of this thing. When I was riding the electric that I recently reviewed, I topped out at 11 miles, which was not quite enough to do a lot of the things that I want to do. Now, when it comes to charging, Engwe says that it takes 5.5 hours to top up, which seems pretty reasonable. And on this trip today, I've only used about 24% of my battery life, which is good because I want to be able to get back home. Okay, let's talk price. The Engwe Engine Pro is available for $1,399, which seems pretty reasonable considering what they pack into this bike. The components seem decent and appear to be in line with what other bikes at this price point offer. But of course, the milk crate will cost you extra. When it comes to value-priced bikes, the Engine Pro really does offer a lot for the money. If you're looking for Class 3 speeds on a budget, this can get you there. It's got a bigger than average battery, so the range is pretty decent too. I also really appreciate the comfort that you get for this price point. Front suspension, rear suspension, and a comfy seat make riding longer distances enjoyable. Ultimately, if you're okay trying out a bike from a somewhat unknown brand, you can get a lot for your money with this bike. All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you can get notified of all my new videos. If you want to help support the channel, please buy a Hello Road t-shirt at helloroad.tv/shop. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon.